This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Radar, and I'm so thrilled to be speaking with Sharon Horgan about Bad Sisters. How are you, Sharon?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good, good. I love this show, and I'm very excited to be able to revisit it.
Good.
I haven't seen the original show that it's based on. How did that process evolve from that series existing to this one coming about?
Well, I had worked with Jay Hunt, who's the head of Apple in sort of UK and Europe, at Channel 4 when I was making Catastrophe. And so she, when she moved over to Apple, wanted to develop something with me. And I was kind of, trying to figure out what to spend the next 4 years of my life doing, or, because you have to kind of think like that. And she just gave me Clan, and she said, and I was very dubious because I'd been approached to adapt things before and sort of didn't think it was in my wheelhouse at all. It sounded really hard. And I thought, well, I just want to do my own thing. But she's like, just watch it. And I did, and I was hooked after the first episode. Mainly, I mean, the original is great. You should watch it. It's very different. It's Belgian. It has a very wacky tone. It's quite broad. There's a lot more murder attempts, and it involves the main difference is we don't have Chinese mafia in ours. Um, so there's there's a wildly different tone, but I just love the relationship between the sisters. There was always five sisters, and I love the premise of one of them being married to a prick, and the sisters deciding they're going to take him out, but being really bad at murder because they're just regular women. So I just Dave Finkel and Brett Baer had got the rights to the original series, so I just sort of met up with them in LA, and we talked about it. And um, I think I just sort of said, well, I really want to do it because I just feel like I know what the Irish version of this show should be, what it should look like, and the idea of just sort of hiring the emotional stakes, and really trying to get under the skin of what would happen if that did happen to, a regular family, and what the emotional toil that it would take, would look like. And um and and also how to keep it really funny. And I think that was the main thing for me, having worked on lots of sitcom in the UK. I hadn't sort of made an hour before, but to me, there's some of the funniest shows that out there aren't technically comedies, like Better Call Saul, or, I guess The Sopranos, or other examples going out of my head. But a really good drama is funny, and has comedic characters within it. So yeah, that's how it originated.
Think the balance of tone is a very important thing on the show because you want to really hate JP and understand that he is evil in a lot of ways, but you still have to be able to laugh at just also how petty he can be.
Well, yeah, that's it. And the reason why that was really important, other than, having to keep it light at times, we didn't want it to be a miserable experience as much as we wanted to represent the domestic abuse storyline as sort of authentically and brutally as possible. We still wanted it to be entertainment, so but with the prick, he sort of, we enjoyed making a fool of him. And it was funny because even with the actor Clay Bang, he almost hated those scenes where he was being an idiot more than he hated the scenes when he was being a heinous, criminal. Like he hated that side of him. And he also hated when he was I guess made a fool of by the sisters, or the moments where he's an outsider, and actually moments where you kind of, I guess, almost sympathize with him. You almost sympathize with him because he hasn't got the gumption and the sort of, the character to be able to handle this family who are so close and so tight, and instead he sort of, repels them. And but yeah, it was great to show all sides of him, but also to show that sometimes has beautiful moments with his daughter. He couldn't be 100% monster, or it wouldn't have worked. You wouldn't have believed the situation as much. You've got to believe that Grace fell for this man and was in love with him, and you know but that was great. That was, just sort of building that character and allowing us to humiliate him was as important as finding those really terrible moments where it's darker than dark.
There are five sisters, as you mentioned. Did you always know which one you wanted to play?
No, because Apple were like, we sort of see you as a BB, and I think all of the sisters, if you were to ask them, all of the actresses all sort of wanted to be BB, because everyone wanted to wear an eye patch and have a bow and arrow. It was kind of the closest thing to a sort of superhero in the show. And but no, I figured out really quickly I wanted to be Eva. I mean, there was a whole bunch of sort of just logistical, age related mathematics to do, just because Ireland's a small country, and I wanted my sisters to be Irish, and so it was kind of like a jigsaw puzzle of, which actress, I couldn't play one of the younger sisters, put it like that. So the thing with Eva was, I did really relate to her as a character, not necessarily from my own sort of point of view, but like the women in my life. And I kind of thought about my elder sister, and how she would have, how she would have sort of played the role of older sister if she hadn't had a child, because she'd sort of waited a long time to have one, and there was a while there we thought it might not happen. And of course, being childless is absolutely fine, and for some people a much more preferable thing. But for people who are born mothers, like I see Eva as a born mother, to not be able to fulfill that in her life, but to also make her a non-tragic character. She has a drinking problem, but she has, a full life, and her love and all her warmth goes into her sisters. And I wanted to play a nice person, because my own daughters were like, come on, you play dicks quite a lot. And I like the idea of just playing this good person who puts other people first, that thing, rather than a kind of more selfish character, which Ursula, for example, is a great but very kind of, self-first character.
I was fortunate to get to watch episodes of the show early, which was nice, except then I finished the show and I said, well, that's it. It's been great, but there's no way it's going to get renewed for season two because the storyline is done. I'm so happy that I was wrong and that I got that news a few weeks later. Did you have a season two in mind when you started the show?
Not when we started the show, but as we were filming, it's really impossible to just not have ideas when you're filming and you're working with actors like that, and characters like that. When you sort of notice that everything is coming together in a good way, it's hard to say goodbye, and sometimes you should, but it felt to me like that there was you just don't kill a man and just get on with your life, not if you're not if you're not a contract killer. And so I just found myself getting really interested in the idea of like what happens next, like the fallout. and then as we were sort of in the edit, there was just loads of things that started occurring to me, you know, of little sort of things that are in the series that were sort of gifts that I hadn't thought about at the time of writing, where I thought, oh, that's great, that can come back to haunt them. And so yeah, I'm writing it at the moment, and you know, working on stories with a bunch of smart people, and hoping we pull it off, you know.
I think it's great, and I think it's nice because it would be, you know, a waste in a sense to have these great characters and say just because the story's over, why should we not make more
Well,
story?
that's it. You know, it's been such a long time dream of mine to film in Ireland as well. You know, to create that world in the country, you know, that I love and that I, you know, grew up in. And I feel like, you know, we pulled it off in a way that I think we showed in Ireland that hadn't sort of been shown before. And even those locations, even those houses, and you know, the swimming, and I thought, well, I'm not going to be able to just take that and use it in something else. That would be cynical. I want to spend some more time in this world. And you know, I guess you just keep your fingers crossed that everyone else wants that too. You know, it's a funny thing. It sort of had a real mix of, I think, escapism to a certain extent, but then also a kind of cathartic feeling that came with, you know, punishing an awful human like that, you know. And so I kind of want to give that to people again. I just you know, through a new villain, through someone, through someone else to hate, or through some
Great.
other thing to hate. I shouldn't really say too much.
No, no, definitely not. No, the fact that it's coming is enough. I'm very excited about that. I also, I mean, there are so many other projects of yours that I would love to ask you about, but because we don't have unlimited time, I'm going to choose one that I think is so different from Sisters, just in terms of the cast, and that's Together, which you made with James McAvoy. That
Yeah,
I thought that film was another one that so brilliantly straddled tone because sometimes you're laughing and you're very into it, and other times it can just be so drainingly, you know, dramatic. What was it like to be a part of that project?
it was honestly one of the best experiences of my life, like not just professionally, like personally as well. It was a weird thing because I shouldn't have done it because I was writing Bad Sisters, and I sort of had to down tools and learn 120 pages of really hardcore dialogue where we were doing, you know, um shots that were 20-minute long without you know, without a break. And so it was almost like making a play several times over. But you know, myself and James and Stephen the director, and Dennis Kelly, who's my old writing partner from back in the day, we made a sitcom called Pulling Together. And we all just holed up in this house and rehearsed it like it was a play. And you know, got movement in it, and found the places where it could be filmic and dramatic and dynamic. But it was all just in this one house, and it was during COVID, so it was very, it was the best possible kind of you know, setting to sort of film in at that period. And then we shot it in 10 days, and it was intense, but it was such it's just really hard to explain how much of a joy it was, because we all felt we had so much anger like built up in us, but we were all like, you know, caged animals in a way. And there was these incredible words, Dennis's incredible words, and Stephen's wonderful direction to just sort of, you know, just kind of get everything out through that. And yeah, it was sort of, when people watched it over here, it was like just being able to let out a kind of sigh, you know, that it was being articulated through this family. This story was being articulated. How angry everyone was, and how let down by the government, and you know, being able to hear in those statistics, you know, really beautifully written statistics, what actually went on, and everyone's like, okay, we're not mad. This was horribly handled, and yeah, I'm really glad you liked it, because it was just such a great experience, and I'm probably, you know, I won't get to do that kind of thing again, because it was like a once in a lifetime kind of thing.
It's nice to be able to revisit it, and I'm always happy to talk about Bad Sisters. Very excited to hear more about season two down the line. Thank you so much, Sharon. It was very nice to meet you.
Oh, it's nice to meet you too. Thank you.